Yes, they will. How does Ron Colley put together a winning streak against Scott to win a state title today?
When you talk about self-made,
and got ran over pretty hard. So pretty tough kid, and he had a really good start the other day, to their semifinal game.
So is there a little bit of a is there anything to take away as we look at Millard North and Bellevue West tomorrow? Is there anything to take away? What kind of you and I have talked about off air? Coach Ludke went to work. It worked in the first half. Then Coach Woodard made the next chess piece move with forcing Bellevue West and a rope to guard away from the basket. Do you like any matchups out there for Millard North that you think can be a replica of what Prep was able to do in the first half, pulling him out away from the basket?
Yeah, I mean, Jason is capable, right, of doing that. Nick Dolzal is a dude that doesn't get talked about at all, really, for Millard North. He had a really good start. They also hit a couple of threes early, too, which, a team shooting 30% on the season, opening things up, kind of made, I think, Josh and Prep change their mind a little bit about what their game plan was. So I think Nick Dolzal is kind of the key. And Jason's ability to stretch the floor is probably something which he'll make a rope kind of float out and guard him a little bit. But then you have William Kyle there to kind of help right on the backside. So I know Doug, Bellevue West will not play zone. They just it'd be shocking if they came out in a zone, maybe for like little spurts, but he's a man guy and through and through. But it wouldn't, maybe you look at that because take away driving lanes and that. I mean, that's what Gretna's game plan was. We're going to pack the paint and hope for the best, right? So, and I got to say, it's like Gretna coming back in that game it's a big credit to their fight and toughness and all that, because it could have got out of hand real quick, real early last night. But them coming back, I don't know, Josiah it was a tale of two halves for sure. Josiah had a great first half, or a great second half last night. Martell Evans did a really nice job guarding him and trying to take Josiah away. But Bellevue West has more horses than Millard North. I'm not predicting a win or anything like that. they just have more horses.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let me stop you right there because I'm kind of with you. So if I give you Jackson Page, Dolezal, Harmon and Jason Green, and I kind of set them to the side, and then there's Enselman, Dotzler, William Kyle. I kind of set them to the side depending on what they do with Mitchell in the rotation because his minutes have shrunk a little. Who's the next group of 2024s? Because that's basically all that's left outside of Stuvie, who I think has been really good, especially with some of those sneaky rebounds. Whose group needs to be better of kind of those classes? And I know Stuvie's 2023, but
Right.
Whose group has to be better of those young bucks to get it done?
Ooh. It's got to be Millard North. I would say, I mean, even guys like mentioned before, Jaden Jackson just defending and
2024.
ability to do that, right? Like he's gonna probably, I'm guessing, be pretty key. I would imagine he probably guards Harmon.
That strength thing is Harmon is a handful getting downhill. Ooh.
Oh, he can really get downhill. I mean, and when he opens it up and shoots threes really, really well, like he did the other night, or last night, it kind of makes you think. And then if he's doing that, then you just get a little quick shot fake to the rim. I mean, pretty quickly and pretty easily because he's super capable. I think Jaden's probably that guy, I guess. John Mitchell's minutes are strong. I mean, they've, TK Barnett's no longer on the team. So just naturally, Eldon Turner is a guy for WS. If you can get 6 from him or 8 even, that would be kind of bonus, right? Neil Mosser has to stretch the floor and hit maybe 2-3 threes, or maybe just take a shot every now and again.
Eli got the early foul trouble the other night, and it didn't seem to bother his rhythm. I did like the fact that Coach had enough confidence to not sit a guy for the half with 2 fouls. I think it's all about if you trust the guy or not. That was actually refreshing. I hate when coaches just automatically assume you sit.
Right. And Millard North, I've noticed, in the last few kind of weeks here, end of the year, they're going offense defense with the guard. So they're bringing in McMorris and Gates for Page and Mosser. So that's kind of a chess match, maybe a little bit too. How do they deploy, McMorris and Gates off the bench? So those are kind of keys to look at. It should be a really good game. And people last night were talking about, oh, this is the trilogy. Not really. It's totally different faces, right? Like, it's not totally, but a lot of different faces.
Well, so it is, but I mean, if it's a close game, exciting game,
right? Yeah.
Hey, what happens what happens real quick, Shane? Hold on, just for a second, Shane. Give me the quick recaps of B though with girls, because you get the real trilogy of this season with Scott and Elkhorn North, and man, Fremont and Southwest. Man, just doing what winners do. What happens there?
Right. Yeah, Fremont Southwest is 2 extremely well-coached teams. The key there is going to be McCabe versus Kennedy Williams. Can Kennedy Williams slow her down enough? And can other people like Sarah Shepard and McKenna Murphy hit enough shots and get enough buckets if Kennedy can muster up enough energy? Because she was fantastic against Millard South and guarding Maya Babbitt. She took her out of the game.
Player of the year in Class A.
Boys?
Yep.
Jason Green. Easy. Hands down. Not even close.
The guy running the point for Bellevue West, he may hear this and have a chip on his shoulder tomorrow, but we'll see.
It's Jason. Like, I don't even think it's close.
Fremont get it done or Southwest?
Probably Fremont.
Gonna be tough.
All right. We'll see you in a little bit.
One last thing too to kind of keep an eye on after the game.
No.
Millard North. I mean, this could very well be Tim Cannon's last game.
Yeah. All right.
So
we'll be all ears, all eyes.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Yeah. Bye.
42 degrees health and wellness been big here the last couple of days, just managing whether it's the energy level, just from trying to catch up with all the things that are going on. So my CLAs have been important, as has the L-carnitine. It's enough to get the day started, just to get your mind right from a focus standpoint. My cognitive capsules, where it's like, okay, got to lock in. There's a lot of things to cover, and it's been extremely busy. Not to mention the salve on the old back, with just trying to get the day going. The health and wellness portion of 42 degrees has been really, really important, especially helping me get by. I'm not a guy that loves prescriptions and just spending a lot of time at the pharmacy. So the knowledgeable staff at 42 degrees has been really important to me. I can't stress that enough. Really knowledgeable, clean, and most importantly, friendly, right? Where they allow me to ask a lot of questions. Now with vegan and gluten-free options, you feel really good about the directions. It's so much more than you think. Do yourself a favor. Gather the information, ask the questions. It's 42 degrees, ton of great locations right by your mom's house.
Hey!
Where are the baseball free agency signings? By the way, as 99 days of, I think the game will be in a good spot coming out the back end. Universal designated hitter, limited shifts, 12-team playoff. We got rid of the wild card, so the wild card round is best of 3. I think higher payrolls, bigger stolen bases, pitch clock, tempo could be better. I think we're going to come out of this on the good end for baseball, even though it was rocky to get there. But we get 162.
Yeah.
No winners except for fans that get their baseball. And I hope that teams, players, owners, they take care of the fans. I know Rob
April
Manfred.
7th, right?
Yep. I know Rob Manfred is trying to build a relationship with fans and players. Good luck. But yeah, April 7th will be opening day. 16 teams will play on the 7th. The rest will play on the 8th. So they will be in action when the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson is on April 15th. Minor League Baseball, though, seems to be a little salty because they were opening up at that time and they were feeling pretty good. The only baseball was going to be minor league baseball. And now Major League Baseball will overshadow minor league baseball opening. They already have a rough relationship with Major League Baseball, but like the Storm Chasers come across as being a little bit salty that they have to share the stage.
It's okay.
But we get baseball. And you know what? I hope people that said when it looked like we wouldn't get baseball until maybe May 1 and said, I'll support my minor league team, my college team.
Still do it.
Do it. Do it. You still have the opportunity. And don't forget, like high school baseball starts here soon as well in the state.
Yeah.
Does the season go a little longer, or did they
3 days
condense-
longer.
3 days?
It's gonna
That's
we're-
not bad.
We're back to 9-inning doubleheaders, and we don't have that crap of a guy starting on second base to begin the extra innings. Thank you. Baseball's going to be better because of what happened.
Oh, my goodness.
But where are the free agent signings?
Hey, Gary Sharp here for not liking crap.
Hey! I don't like crap, man.
That crap a guy start on second base.
Mike Schaefer's next.
Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app. Here are Gary Sharp and Damon Benning.
Hey, here's a guy that doesn't like baseball crap. We are excited. I think I'm going to be getting a notification later today about my rescheduled fantasy draft.
Hey, put a runner on second. Never mind.
No. Mike Schaefer joins us now. Are you ready? Are you supposed to be in Arizona next week?
Normally. So it's funny how this all works out. So I'm going to go to Vegas for pretty much all of next week because there was no spring training. But we chose like extending a trip in Vegas where we can lose much, much more money than adding the days over to Phoenix and going there without spring training, which now there is spring training. So it all came together. I don't know about you, Gary, but I might cry tears of joy the first time that there is a 9-inning doubleheader game. It's just going to be incredible.
I mean, and then when it extends and, it's 14 innings in game one of a day-night doubleheader. Oh, gosh. I mean, it's so great to have it back.
Beautiful sight. And the NL with the DH, I know that has to make you happy because
yes,
you don't have to watch pitchers hit anymore.
Wait, why do we care what he thinks about the DH when his team's not going to have any good players left anyway? It should be the Dodgers.
Schwindel and Patrick Wisdom. What are you talking about?
Hey, Frank Schwindel may thrive as a DH.
Yeah, look, you're talking about fantasy baseball. I would target him pretty late in the draft.
That would be really late in the draft, but go on, go at it. But I'm glad that baseball is back. I think it's going to be okay. I think we're going to come out of this okay. It was tough to get there, so hopefully we're on the right path, and this game will grow. I think the game on the field will grow. There's already talented players. We need how it's played to grow.
Would you guys feel?
I mean, they have the personnel, like the wave of new players are fun and exciting, and they just need the opportunity for the game to also be fun and exciting. I think my favorite of the changes is the slightly larger bases, because if that kind of promotes more stealing and gets rid of the worst part of instant replay, which is a guy just happens to be slightly above a base for like less than a nanosecond and he's called out. I hated that. So hopefully that changes it a little bit.
Yeah, whenever you guys get finished, I'm just trying to figure out if Correa is really going to be a Dodger. So
No.
I mean, that's
Hey,
will it be another guy in a long list of people that I have to root for that historically I can't stand? So.
ground ball to Correa, flips to Madrigal, on to first to Rizzo. Double play, and the Cubs are out of the inning.
No.
Okay.
He likes to win. He's coming from a winning organization.
Well, how does your organization feel about trash games?
Well, it did cost him a championship potentially, so probably not.
Just spend all your money on Kershaw. Leave Mike Correa alone.
For what?
Sentimental value.
22 starts?
Sentimental value.
No way.
All right, Shafe, let's talk some football here. What do you think of the first major scrimmage today where there's tackling involved, and it may not be the prettiest, and we may not know what goes on for another 10 days, but what do you think, kind of to put you at ease, or at least to answer some early questions, you would like to hear that they got accomplished today?
Oh man, so that's really tough because, like, Scott Frost was talking on Wednesday about how the offensive line is firing off the ball and it looks good and all of that sort of stuff. And then immediately in the back of my mind, I'm thinking this is probably the most depleted the defensive line has been in a while. So what can we actually take from that? So, if we're over there a Tuesday or so from now and they're talking about how they were able to run the ball effectively, that's not really going to mean a lot to me, because I think Nebraska's defensive line is still very much a work in progress. So
I think more than anything, I guess I'd like to hear that there's pretty good cohesion between Casey Thompson and the wide receivers. Guys are able to make plays downfield, things of that nature. I'm really trying to not get over the skis, so to speak, on any one or two comments that come out of some of these spring practices, just because I feel like the roster is pretty fresh. I mean, they're going to have to work through a lot of problems and a lot of problems, the wrong word, just a lot of potholes, I guess, if you will. And so it's probably going to take a while. Like I would imagine it's going to be pretty ugly over there today. So we'll hear what we hear in a couple Tuesdays from now. But I suspect it's very much a work in progress over there.
Hey, so let me ask you something, Shafe. Is this the first spring that you feel like you can get like the best indicator, since along both lines, one side isn't clearly coming in with more established talent than the other?
Yeah, it's tough because I guess, the cynic in me, which unfortunately is more than half of my, mental makeup, would basically just assume it means the other side is significantly weaker without telling me if the side that's doing well is that good. So it's also one of those things too, where both sides of the trenches, you probably only have a third to 2/3 of the guys that are actually going to be in your starting, rotation if you're healthy when you're playing against Northwestern or, when you get into Oklahoma in September. So without some of those guys, you don't have Turner Corcoran, you don't have Teddy Prohaska, you don't have Casey Rogers. I don't know that I want to make too much one way or the other, but what I do want from it is I want to hear about Mosai Newsome making a move and eventually, pushing his way in for more playing time. And I want to hear about Henry Lutovsky, and I want to hear that Kevin Williams and Casey Anthony are doing well. That's like the 19th time I've done that. Hunter Anthony. I don't know how I've just combined Casey Thompson and Hunter Anthony into, a very, very big tabloid story circa 2011, but I've done it on this radio station 15 times. So I apologize for that. But, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear about those guys more specifically than I do about which line is doing particularly well, because I don't know that I can take a ton away from that. But if you hear of individual progress of guys that you think are either key backups or potential starters, Nash Hutmacher comes to mind. Like those are the things that I kind of really want to focus on when we get into trench talk next week.
Logan Smothers, and he spoke the other day, and inevitably people want to know, are you going to leave? Like he's going to say that to people. I mean, he just started spring ball. But another storyline, well, what if we hear that Logan Smothers had a good scrimmage? Does that make Logan Smothers a solid number 2 that took advantage of Purdy not taking his reps here in the first part of spring?
I know at least 1/3 of the members of Husker 24/7 wouldn't be surprised if Logan Smothers is the primary backup for most of next year. So there's at least that thought process out there. The thing that I like about the conversation with him on Wednesday is there's a level of confidence that he has that, okay, maybe I'm not the chosen guy, but what are they going to do? I'm going to go out there, I'm going to perform the best that I can, and we'll leave it out there. There's a confidence that Logan Smothers has that I think emanates from sort of what's the worst that could happen. And I kind of like that. Like, I don't know if there's like a little bit of a chip to that confidence too. And if he's going out and he's performing well and he's giving them every reason for him to be the primary backup to Casey Thompson, or, in a completely bizarre world, he's able to overtake them. I mean, that just speaks to the mental makeup that Logan Smothers has. He's not whining. He's not complaining. He stood up there, he answered every question, and he basically said, like, I got nowhere else I want to be. This is where I want to be. This is who I want to play for. I'm going to play for Mark Whipple. I'm going to learn this offense. I'm going to do the best that I can, and I have the ability to do it. And that's kind of reassuring. You need that confidence. And I like that. I thought that was a pretty good, arrow up for me with Logan Smothers this spring for sure.
So let me ask you this, and Sharpie and I were kind of trying to just troll through it. If who would go as a representative from the offense to Big Ten Media Days other than Casey Thompson that you think represents that offensive side of the ball?
Would it not be Ramir Johnson?
Maybe.
I mean, he was one of the guys that was up there speaking, on the opening spring press conference, and then he's not going to practice this spring. But Travis Vokolek is kind of an unquestioned starter and a guy who's been fairly vocal over the last year. I mean, he's done interviews. He's not out of his depth in that sort of realm, but it feels more likely what you're going to end up with is some version of Casey Thompson and Ty Robinson, and then probably Quentin Newsome or someone like that. So I don't know that you'd get two offensive guys, if we're putting together our guesses for Big Ten Media Days. But if it was going to be a veteran, it seems like it'd be Ramir Johnson or Travis Vokolek.
Hey, it may be just because it's new and everybody's trying to get along, but does it appear to you that on offense, all the position groups somehow are connected to each other? They're not doing their same thing. So the OC understands the offensive line's got to work for his running back and his quarterback to work. Wide receivers got to work on the way they run the routes to get to the top of the route for that to work. It just seems like early on the discussion is everything is more intertwined than in my impression in the past, where it sometimes came across as everybody was doing their own thing instead of working for the common goal of the 11 on the field to move the football and score points.
So you kind of perceive it to be that there's more of one unit versus
yes.
4 or 5 mini units?
Yes.
I could see that. The easy answer would be say part of that has to come from you have an experienced offensive coordinator that has kind of a vision of what he wants, and he's able to dictate that out. And he's kind of taking charge. And I mean, obviously, you guys hear what you've heard, and I've heard what I've heard. But going all the way back to December, I mean, I felt fairly confident that Mark Whipple didn't come here to be a wallflower. And I don't know that anything has made me feel different about that, since. And he's been seemingly involved, and he's up there talking, and it doesn't matter which position group his name is ultimately going to come up. It very much feels like this is his offense, and Scott Frost is involved, but he's off, working on defense and looking at other things. And, it feels like this is kind of Mark Whipple's offense. And I think that there was some real skepticism as to whether Scott Frost would do that, but that could be, the sense that you're getting. I can't say that I feel the exact same way, but I understand where you're coming from with that. That sense might just be the Whipple effect, if you will.
Hey, who do you think pays dividends faster in their new roles? Is it Raiola on the offensive line or Dawson now leading the defensive line?
That's a great question. Dawson has done it at Nebraska before, but I don't know that really any of these guys have played for him. I think this is pretty much a wholesale different defensive line. I guess I would lean towards Raiola.
Isn't that funny to say out loud?
Yeah, and especially because I've probably been the gloomiest person you have on your show each week about the offensive line, him specifically. But some of that just has to do with the talent that they've accumulated. Like, I mean, I don't know when Teddy Prohaska is going to be available, but he was pretty good last year in that short stretch. I still believe that Turner Corcoran and Bryce Benhart were 4-star players for a reason, and that talent can be unlocked. And that I'm really high on guys like Henry Lutovsky. And then you have some blue guys like Brock Bando and others, Nori that are going to be involved there. There's more depth. There's more options. I feel better about the overall bodies in the room on the offensive line, even if their total work last year made you feel, pretty concerned. And so I think because of that, there's a better chance in my mind that maybe the offensive line can get it together faster. Because I still feel like they're a piece or two missing for Nebraska's kind of front seven, specifically off the edge. And then, of course, right there in the middle. I don't know what to make of what Nebraska's defensive line is going to be. And that can be kind of scary because if you can't stop the run in this conference, there's not a whole lot of success that goes against that trend.
Hey, one final one, because I know we got to get you out of here. How awesome is it that Weekday Wade is coaching in a state final at Lincoln Lutheran?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, if people don't know the backstory, he's a guy from my hometown in Columbus that I've known for a long time. He in the midst of the pandemic, was interviewing for a bunch of different jobs, got hired by Lincoln Lutheran, but they didn't have a teaching job for him. Gave up a teaching job in Columbus just for the opportunity to be a head coach at Lutheran. And because he wasn't going to draw much of a salary, I more or less offered that he could live in my basement, pre even getting engaged. So then suddenly I have all these people moving into my house in the summer of 2020. But it's gone really well. I mean, he works incredibly hard at it. He's incredibly focused. I think he's a big asset for the city of Lincoln. And I hope Lincoln Lutheran gets the opportunity to go out on top today, and he's going to go coach at Lincoln Northwest starting next year. So it's been a lot of fun to just kind of, I obviously cover a lot of coaches in capacity of recruiting and all of that. But when you have one and you see how much work they put in and how much it means to them and all of that, like it's really cool to be that up close and personal, the whole thing. And they have an opportunity. I mean, it's already the furthest they've ever gone. He's the winningest coach in Lincoln Lutheran history. So it's pretty neat. So I hope he can pull it off today. So I'll be down at PBA here in about an hour or so, and we'll see how that goes.
Hey, didn't they had a big win a couple weeks ago over Auburn too? I remember seeing it was low scoring, like 44, 42 or 41, I think.
Almost all of their games are low scoring.
Playing out of class,
players
so that was kind of cool.
They have like no players that average more than 8 points, and teams average like 20, 22 or 23 against them. So they're big on the hockey style line changes and playing defense that just annoys you. So it's the collection of athletes probably more so than basketball players, but it's working for them.
Well, one day we'll have you rank your best roommates of all time.
There's a lot of them.
I know there is.
I'm pretty sure I know who would be worse, but I'm going to leave that.
Hey, Schaefer, we'll see you later at PBA.
All right, guys. Take care.
That's Mike Schaefer. Matt Verzal's coming next.
Over 100 years of success for Rotella's Bakery. That's a big deal. Well, it's a lot of reasons for it. Quality family, quality vision, a lot of good people that they surrounded themselves with. But a pretty key ingredient, do you see what I did there, is you, the customer. They have done a really good job of making sure that your needs are met. You ask, they listen. Everything from, hey, let's go with bun size, or how about gluten-free, or what about ciabatta? Or I really like this style of roll. You ask, you shall receive. That's what Rotella's tries to do, making sure that you, the customer, are valued. Suggestions, comments, ideas, they go hand in hand. That's allowed for growth. And at Rotella's, when you don't compromise with the age-old ingredients and kind of the love touch that they give, and you do combine it with kind of some of the new science technologies, being in tune with what you want is important. That's why you can visit them at rotellasbakery.com or stop on out at your nearest grocer.
All right, coming down in 3, 2, 1. Protect yourself against upsets this March with Bracket Parlay Insurance on FanDuel Sportsbook. Now, right now, all customers, you can get up to $25 back each day if your parlay of 3 legs or more falls 1 leg short. Parlay insurance.
Insurance is a good thing, right? That means you're covered, and that's what FanDuel does for you. They make sure all your needs are met. You got to get the FanDuel Sportsbook app downloaded, enter the promo code zone, and that's when it really starts. Because right now, all customers can get up to $25 back each day if the parlay of 3 legs or more falls just 1 leg short. That's almost risk-free.
Yeah, and with cash out, the ball's in your court, so to speak. So you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game is over. Now, if you're new to FanDuel, just sign up with promo code ZONE. Then you can bet the bracket all tournament long. Find those underdogs, find those favorites, put your parlay together, and you are a winner. If you're new, just sign up with promo code ZONE. Then you can bet the bracket all tournament long, as we mentioned. That's promo code ZONE on FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 over, present Iowa. If exactly 1 leg loses, refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit expires in 7 days. NCAA tournament SBK wager required. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF. Okay.
What if Freddie Freeman wound up in Los Angeles?
That's a possibility.
No.
Yeah.
Only 3 teams: Yankees, Braves, or Dodgers.
I don't think he goes back to Atlanta. I don't know why we'd. The only reason I'd go to the Yankees is that short porch. He would kill it. Dodgers are a great option. All right, coming down to 3, 2, 1. Hey, take a shot at college hoops this March with a risk-free bet on FanDuel Sportsbook. Now, it doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. All customers are going to get a risk-free bet on the bracket. All you have to do is sign into the FanDuel Sportsbook app to claim yours today.
Yeah, that's no strings attached. That's the cool thing about FanDuel. So good at what they do. Tons of reasons why they're America's #1 sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure. The way in which you can get paid out and how quickly they pay out, man, it's just different. When you're #1, that means you've got all your bases covered. So make sure when you get the app downloaded, if you don't already, shame on you. No, just kidding, but not really. Make sure you enter the promo code ZONE. That's where all the perks happen.
Hey, you can bet on the underdog like South Dakota State, you maybe been looking at from the Summer League, or go with Gonzaga as a favorite. Either way, it's risk-free. Cash out, the ball's in your court, so you can close out your bet whenever you want before the game's over. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. Join us now with promo code ZONE. Or if you already have an account, sign into your FanDuel Sportsbook app to claim your risk-free bet today. 21 over, present Iowa. Refund issued to non-drawable. 21 and over, present Iowa. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit expires in 7 days. Maximum refund $5. Offer is non-transferable. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Every day I'm hustling.
Matt Versa.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Versa.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
Every day I'm hustling.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Do you think this guy will go with us today? And watch,
No, he has a real job.
You're not going to go and watch Scott and Roncalli boys play at 1?
That guy will be watching on television.
I'm guessing that the last couple of days with the success of Scott, Pisons has been extra packed.
There, boys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got
we're
you.
there.
Can you
You
hear
there?
us?
Hey, how we doing?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Good. Did you not hear what we just said to you?
No, your phone was kind of not cut.
I think it's his phone.
Wait, what?
You got us, Matt?
Yep, now I got you.
Okay.
When you buzzed over, you were talking. I couldn't hear you.
Well, we were just saying because of Scott boys and girls being in state finals that it's probably been a little extra celebratory at Pisons the last couple of days.
Oh yeah, it's been good. The boys' parents drink a little more than the girls' parents. I issue that as a direct challenge to a couple of the girls' parents. No. It's a fun time. Everybody's stoked and parents are nervous and kids are relaxed, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, championship days here in the next couple, so we'll see how they shake out.
Hey, so Maddie, when you're taking a look at kind of the culture and you know, boys and girls going to be right there, and football, all sorts of sports have had volleyball success. How much of that do you think is like intentional versus taken for granted?
Internally, I don't think it's taken for granted. Externally, of course, it'll be, you know, oh, you limit enrollment and you recruit everywhere and blah 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 blah. And that's fine. You can say what you want to say. When the preparation that you put in leads to an expectation, then there's no shock when it happens. And you know, I've said over and over, you get those kids in adverse situations, they're very calm. They know they've prepped a ton and they know what they're expected to do. So it's kind of a fun thing. We'll see, you know, have defense will travel. I mean, this Roncalli game is going to be fun. Scott beat them close at Roncalli. Roncalli beat them at Scott close. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a game. I'm telling you.
And you will have it on at Pisons over the lunch hour. Also,
that would be illegal streaming, Gary, and we do not partake.
No,
It's on any
Nebraska Public Media now because it's the championship.
Well, I'm joking. I'm joking.
No one's gonna touch
we
you.
will have it on.
Hey, and also, you now know you will be in Chicago on April 7th.
Oh, damn, Skippy. Yeah. And it'll be a good test for the crew at Pisons because this is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday trip for the boss. So there will be, if you ever follow my opening day trip on the Twitter machine, get ready because it'll be a 3-day bender. So,
well, if you want Damon and I to come and settle things down at the shop, we'll do it.
We started saving additional tips, so it's going to be
wow.
Yeah, we're going to have fun. My guy Paul Shelster already called me. He said, "Are you ready?" I said, "I am 100% ready." I said, "Are you?" He said, "I'm 76 years old." He goes, "We'll see what happens."
Oh, 76. Get it.
No, sorry, 72.
Really?
But, yeah.
And it's the Cubs and Brewers for the opener at Wrigley.
Oh, yeah, it'll be fun.
Hey, Maddie. Go ahead.
I'm just, there's just times where the boss needs to get out of town, and this is one of them. So I just need to get out and blow off some steam and go be crazy for a little bit.
Hey, let me ask you a question because you train a lot of kids that are being coached elsewhere. So at some point there has to be this crossover level of trust, right? What do you what are some of the keys to be looking for, you know, for like a guy like Donnie Raiola to know that his guys are buying into something different? It's obviously there's going to be some new techniques, new fundamentals, new voice and all that other stuff, but how in such a finite thing like O-line teaching do you know, like, all right, this is working, I'm really getting to them?
It's all how the player reacts, right? If they're receptive to coaching, if they're receptive to a different methodology. Now, my goal when I work with kids, all I want them to do is get into a fundamental stance that we can move in 8 directions out of. And that's it. That's the end of it. Now we will conceptually everything in offensive line play will move into every system. So it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're honing. It's like basketball players, right? Basketball coach will say, got to get up shots, got to get up shots, got to get up shots. And, you know, when you defer back to even the Kogel kid at Central Catholic, probably one of the non-traditional shots you've ever seen, but it was so ingrained in him and the daughter that when they shot it, it went in. So what we're trying to do is just ingrain technique. Hopefully Donovan is just over and over again teaching those guys technique. Once the technique becomes second nature, now you indoctrinate the scheme. And so then the player understands, hey, if I defer to my technique inside of the scheme, then I can't go wrong. I don't have to think anymore. My body just moves. So that's the goal. You can tell instantly if a kid wants to do it or doesn't. And then it's your job to either beat that into them that they do it this way or they move on.
Casual fan will notice what right away in the difference in offensive line?
Hopefully aggression. Just a nastiness to it. You know, an explosion, almost like a coiled snake, right? Like when you watch, like if you watch football and you watch, like say Trent Williams, right? When he gets in his stance, that's a ginormous human being, but he is coiled and ready to strike. And all you're waiting for is that word from the quarterback that will let you loose. So hopefully you see a live tension in their stances.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as that word is said, they take off like a bat out of hell and just want to go inflict damage and pain.
If you're coach, I don't know, Dawson, and your coach Raiola, you're in some similar, you have some similar degrees of difficulty. Don't you get the sense that the O-line, for as malign as it's been, has several more options than the defensive line does, at least in terms of recognizable name guys?
100%. 100%. I think
like
that
there's
offensive
enough
line
there.
group-
It seems like.
What's that, bud?
It seems like there's enough there on offense.
I think there's more than enough on the team at every position to do more than they've done. Okay, so now it's you lived it, Damon. Like that offensive line room was different than all the other rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we were inside of the team, but we lived our own way, and you guys got the pub and you got your picture in the paper, and that's fine. But if you wanted to go to the dance, we had to take you there. And that's when those guys can kind of shift that mentality to F them all but us, then it's cool, right? Because without that line being good, I don't care how cute your scheme is or how intricate your passing routes are, and we're going to read this guy and he's going to do this, then we're going to go there because we're so good at it. Good luck doing that in 1 second without us giving you 4 seconds, without us creating holes. It's a tough life, as we've all lived recently. If they can understand that they are the most important, and that's not being offensive line biased, that's fact. Without us, you can't survive. So they have to take that onus. As the team goes, they go. They have to be the trailblazers. They have to lead the path. I like Donovan's intensity. I think he's an intense guy, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys need to pick up their game.
We'll find out sooner than later, and it'll be Donovan Raiola's line, and that's all we'll talk about.
Yeah,
not the
Hey,
past.
man, I'll take it. If they go out and they're a bunch of ass kickers, I'm in.
Yep.
I'll get a Donovan Raiola shirt.
I don't know if you've heard, but they are firing off the ball better than they've then Frost can recall at Nebraska.
Well, I'm in the camp. I'm not until I see with my own eyes. I'll form my own opinion.
Maybe.
Absolutely. All right,
A lot
Verse.
of things for a few years.
All right. Have a great weekend. I'm sure my partner here to the left will be stopping in soon.
Hey, you guys going down to the game?
Yes, we are. You want to go?
Man, I wish.
Are you guys
I
going?
don't know. Hit me up when you're getting ready to leave.
He said, "Man, I wish."
All right. All
All
right.
right.
We'll take care of you.
All right,
You
buddy.
driving, Gary?
Yes, I'm the guy driving today.
So Dame and I can have some drinks.
Or conversation.
Yeah, drinks too.
It's gonna rain.
All right, we'll let you know.
Oh
See
man.
you, boys.
See ya. Always trying to corrupt me.
We'll talk Big East basketball coming next.
If you get a quick two, you force Providence out and get the ball in bounds. Hodges all the way. Down for two. 7.6 left. This is, you can move. Oh, loose ball. Byron clears it. Providence is going to win it.
That's your opponent for Creighton at 5:30 Central Time today, followed by Villanova and UConn. Good day. The top four seeds are at MSG for the semifinals. They're already sold out. And you can take right from Providence and Amtrak to Penn Station. You know there'll be a lot of Friar fans there. Villanova, UConn. Creighton is represented well. Ryan Hawkins showed up at team breakfast today wearing a bathrobe. So they're feeling pretty good as we welcome in from Big East Coast Bias. Matt St. Jean joins us now. Matt, good morning. Welcome to Sharp Betting in the Morning in Omaha.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Hey,
Morning, Matt.
Let's start with Creighton's opponent today, Providence. Some will say it's a luck factor. Others will say it's an it factor with this edition of Ed Cooley's team because they know how to win close games. What is your takeaway on who this Providence team is that won the regular season and is 2 wins away from adding the postseason championship as well?
Well, you're not going to win 25 games without at least some degree of luck. But at the same time, they've executed in the clutch time and time again all season. If you go back to the middle of the season, end of January, they had a week where they beat Xavier and Marquette back-to-back on baskets at the end, right at the end of the game. And both times it was because they got the best shots for their best players, and they forced opponents to go to their worst shooters with their opportunities. At the same time, the game against Butler yesterday, Al Durham's 3 to give the win. That was the first 3-pointer he's hit since January. So maybe a little bit of luck there.
Matt, when you're taking a look at Creighton, most people around here would say this is Coach Mack's best performance, given what he's had to do with on his third point guard. The list goes on and on. New team, a lot of fresh faces. They continue to figure out ways to win. How much of that do you just think has to do with the fact that situationally he's as good as just about anyone out there in terms of knowing what buttons to push for this particular team?
If not for Ed Cooley and what he's done this year, Greg McDermott would be Coach of the Year in the Big East. I mean, he's done a fantastic job with these players, and it's not easy when you have that much turnaround. It's not easy when your guys are that young, and they don't seem bothered by the pressure at all. And then you add in Ryan Hawkins. He's a championship guy, a veteran, who kind of gives you that steady presence on the court. You put those both together, and yeah, this is a Creighton team that plays a lot older than it actually is at a lot of points.
Walk me through how the Villanova St. John's game played out. People were checking their phones or watching the game. And they're like, what is going on? St. John's was up 17. And then within 5 minutes or so, Matt, Villanova had taken the lead. What's the takeaway from Villanova's win last night to get to a matchup against UConn? And if people have loved the Big East tournament, now UConn is back, that has special meaning. But what's your takeaway from the way Villanova won last night?
Honestly, St. John's shot the ball well, and Villanova didn't for a while, and that's obviously not typical of Jay Wright's Wildcats. Eventually, they flipped the switch. The shot started falling, and the second that happened, the run started. The momentum shifted in the building, and this is a St. John's team that's not particularly disciplined. Posh Alexander got himself into foul trouble, and when you're down one of your top guards and the other team is shooting the lights out of the building all of a sudden, it's a lot easier to give up that 17-point lead. This is a very good Villanova team, and I think the second half of Villanova is a lot more like what we're going to see tonight than what we saw in the first half of St. John's.
Let me talk to about a team that is not playing anymore, and they got some decisions to make because they have a March roster, but did not play like a deep March Madness team. What would you do with Xavier at this particular point?
Then that's the $1 million question in the Big East right now. I think Travis Steele's a good coach, but this is 3 years in a row now that they have really stumbled down the stretch. And I don't know if there's a right decision. I think Travis Steele can be a really good coach. If you move on from him, you might find success elsewhere, and you're going to be kicking yourself. At the same time, there's too much talent on this Xavier team for them to be playing the way that they did down the stretch. So no matter what happens next season, something needs to change in that room. I don't know if you're changing around the assistants or trying to get some new transfers in. Something has to change because it's not working the way things are going right now.
So let's stick with that theme, Matt. What has to change at Georgetown?
Well, I think the key for them is they need some stability. That roster has turned over year after year. They've had guys leaving the program. Some of that, I think, is on Patrick Ewing. Some of it isn't. They had a bunch of guys get into legal trouble a couple of years ago. James Akinjo was kind of out there. He wasn't in legal trouble, but he left the same time that those guys did. Now he has success at Baylor. Situations like that where they bring good players and they just don't stay. And sounds like Patrick Ewing is going to stay. If he's going to be there, they need this roster to stay the same and to just add to the talent. You can't have a guy like Aminu Mohammed looking for a new home this summer.
You know what's interesting? I'm just
Good
looking at
point.
the three of the teams that we talked about with St. John's, Georgetown, and Xavier. And Xavier has the least name brand recognition nationally, but a ton of more recent success than, let's say, Georgetown or St. John's. Which job do you think is the one that would be ripe to win in the most consistent manner?
I mean, Georgetown, in a lot of ways, will always be one of the better jobs in the country just because of the history there. You're playing in Washington, D.C. That's always going to help your recruiting. And you can recruit up and down the East Coast from a spot like that. But what's happened recently matters. What's going on with the administration matters. So it's Georgetown's the better job on paper, but there's also a lot more complications there. And it's a higher pressure environment. I mean, like you've seen, this is a Georgetown legend who is really having a hard time there. And if he's going to go there and have a hard time with the fans, it's going to be a lot tougher for somebody with no ties to the program.
Who wins today? Who's playing tomorrow at Madison Square Garden, in your opinion?
I have Providence and Villanova. They've been the top two teams in the conference all year long. I'm not going to be shocked if any of these teams win. I think they're all very good, but I got number one and number two meeting in the championship game.
Now, let me ask you, let's fast forward a little bit. Who is more likely, and there could be multiple teams in this question, to make it to the second weekend out of the Big East?
I think it's really going to depend on matchups. I mean, all of these teams in the Big East this year, every one of them that's going to go to the tournament has second weekend potential. But we've seen Providence, they like to play close games. You get a team that can finish games or a team that can really shoot, they might struggle. Villanova, we've seen them lose against some of the top teams this year. At UConn, it can be hit or miss. Creighton, they've been inconsistent. They've blown out Villanova. They got blown out by Villanova. It's going to be matchups, but again, I think you got to start at the top. Villanova has done this before. They got Jay Wright, Ed Cooley, Coach of the Year, Greg McDermott, fantastic coach. I think you look to the coaches in a situation like that. I'll pick those three teams to be most likely there in the second weekend.
Where would you rank, before we let you go, because, Jay Wright, listen, one of the nation's best, and he's as good at what he does as anybody. Where would you rank this coaching performance given this roster without the surefire NBA star?
It's up there. I mean, and the key for them after the Baylor game where they got killed, they only scored 36 points. They did a really good job of kind of taking a step back and figuring out what works for them, what they need to change, because they don't have Jeremiah Robinson Earl anymore. They don't have Sadiq Bey. They don't have that big that they can go to. And they found other ways to get it done. And they got some of these other guys to step up, Eric Dixon, Brandon Slater, finally playing some of their best ball. I don't know if this is Jay Wright's best coaching job, but it's certainly one of his better ones.
Great stuff, Matt. I appreciate the content that you and the rest of the guys put out at Big East Coast Bias, and we appreciate your time. Enjoy the next couple of days at Madison Square Garden.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, Matt.
Matt St. Jean, Creighton and Providence coming up at 5:30 today. Pregame starts at 5. Of course, the pre, the play, and the post, as Creighton is trying to get back to the final for the second straight year.
Yeah.
Made it last year, lost to Georgetown.
Dirty little secret.
Yeah, it's kind of Creighton's had some success there. But
We'll kick the day off, too, in the Big Ten. How about that? 10:30.
Yes, we will. Indiana and Illinois. That's a pretty important game for IU.
Oh, yeah.
All right, great week, everybody. And as we close, let's get a final qualifier for the Men's Basketball Championship VIP watch party at Horseshoe, and you'll get food and beverages courtesy of Brookside Medical. This is the last qualifier. Make it simple. Caller number 11-951-1620. You're getting qualified. Good luck to our two winners. We're back again on Monday to break down the bracket at 6 a.m. Enjoy the weekend. Don't forget, we spring forward, but longer days coming up.
Oh, geez.
We'll talk to you on Monday. Sharp and Betting in the morning at 1620 The Zone.
It's the Sharp and Benning in the Morning moment of the day. Here on 1620 The Zone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I only sit in the Lexus Club, so I'm feeling comfortable.
Here we go.
Hey, Kim, we'll go to a game next year together, and you can sit in the Lexus Club with me.
Hey, that's all right, man. I don't know. I
oh,
still
she's
got to get
passing.
used to the chemistry between you two.
You got it. We'll keep working
Well, it
on
won't
it.
be a threesome. It'll just be you and I.
Oh my God, that's weird.
Have a good
Do
day,
not
Kim.
Make that a drop.
Yeah.
Please.